الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. ما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها كل محدثة بدعة كل بدعة ضلالة كل ضلالة في النار. Tonight inshallah we talk about باب الشفع. And before that, before we start with that, just the last point from the previous lecture, and that's باب الغصب. That's taking someone's property by force without any right. There was one more point that the ulama mentioned in their books, and that is al-ajma, when the animals attack someone's, they mentioned this in that category, and that is when someone's animals attack or destroy someone's property. So يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم العجماء جرحها جبار. العجماء جرحها جبار وفي رواية عقلها جبار. يعني the animals when they destroy they're not responsible. يعني the person they belong to is not responsible. So if some camel or animal or whatever, donkey, someone has a donkey or a horse, and without any negligence this horse, let's say, destroyed, you have a farm and came in and destroyed, or sheep came in and destroyed, then you don't لا ضمان عليك, you do not guarantee, or you do not warranty, or you're not responsible, but there is a detail. So يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في البخاري عقلها العجماء عقلها جبار يعني هدر. These bahaim cannot think, so whatever they destroy, you are not responsible if they belong to you, with some detail as we will mention inshallah. One time في حديث حرام بن سعد ناقة للبراء بن عازب رضي الله عنه دخلت على حائط قوم. Bara ibn Azib, one of the Sahaba, he had a camel and came into حائط قوم. حائط يعني بستان. حائط, they say حائط يعني بستان. Came into a garden, يعني a farm for someone or for some people, and destroyed it. So they came for judgment from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن على أهل الحوائط حفظها بالنهار وعلى أهل المواشي حفظها بالليل. So the bottom line becomes that these animals, camels, sheep, goats, whatever you own, animals, your responsibility at night. The owner, it's your responsibility at night. And it's the responsibility of the farmers and those who own the farms at daytime. Okay? Daytime. So if the damage takes place during the day, then the owner is not responsible. Okay, this is as long as the animal doesn't have someone riding it, someone controlling it, someone taking care of it. Okay, but if someone on top of it and then he leads it into the farm, whether day or night, he's responsible. Okay, but sometimes the animal cannot control them all the time and watch them all the time. So the Prophet ﷺ made it clear: during the day, it's the responsibility of the farmer because he can view everything. During the night, it's the responsibility of the owner of the animals to put them in place in the barn, wherever they're supposed to be kept for the night, so they do not go and destroy other people's property while they're asleep. So that is the bottom line. And this, something like that, mentioned in the Quran. That is the story of Dawood alayhi salam and the story of Musa alayhi salam in Surah Al-Anbiya. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى وداود وسليمان إذ يحكمان في الحرث إذ نفشت فيه غنم القوم وكنا لحكمهما شاهدين ففهمناها سليمان وَكُلًّا آتَيْنَا حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu mentioned about this story, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Anbiya in the Quran, that people came to complain to Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, about this issue. And the issue or the story was, people had ha'it or bustan of grapes, karam, and their neighbor had sheep. So during the night, إذ نفشت فيه غنم القوم, نفشت فيه يعني at night, destroyed it. So these sheep at night went on into the man's farm and ate all the grapes. So they came to complain. The grapes man came to complain, his neighbor and his neighbor's sheep, to Dawood alayhi salam, to judge between them. So Dawood alayhi salam said that the owner of the sheep compensate the owner of the grapes or the farm with the amount of the grapes. We see how much grapes you had in there, how much would have been sold for, and then we're gonna compensate him. So your sheep ate $1,000 worth of grapes, so you give him $1,000. Sulaiman alayhi salam was witnessing this. But Sulaiman had different opinion, because the amount that the sheep, the guy who owns the sheep, would have to compensate to the owner of the farm is more worthy, or is more expensive than the value of all the sheep. Okay? Perhaps 2 or 3 or 5 sheep can eat a whole, So if we're gonna say compensate him for the amount of grapes your sheep ate, then he has to compensate them with a value more than the sheep. So Sulaiman alayhi salam told his father Dawood, is that it is? This is what you came up with? He said yes. So you sure? He said yes. Do you have any other opinion? He said yes. He said what? He said you give the sheep to the farmer to use them. Sheep and goats and all that have milk and all that, and wool and all, so he can benefit. And you give the farm to the sheep owner, so he can take care of it until it reproduces the grapes that was on it. You got it? The exchange. So since the sheep ate the grapes, they go to the farmer who owned the grapes to benefit from them. The farm that was destroyed by the sheep, they go to the owner of the sheep to reproduce it or make it or fix it the way it was before his sheep ate it. That's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَفَهَّمْنَاهَا سُلَيْمَانَ. So we made Sulaiman understood and figure out the solution. Okay? So his solution was in agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet, this is not to say that Dawood alayhi salam did not judge right or did not know what to do. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end, وَكُلًّا آتَيْنَا حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا. And both of them we have given wisdom and knowledge. But all the knowledge, the absolute knowledge, is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is an issue that is related to what we have said. That's why always remember to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the understanding, the right understanding. Always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach you the right thing. Always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when something you cannot understand. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives whomever He wants ilm, and He gives whomever He wants hikmah, and He gives whomever He wants understanding. Because you can be a very knowledgeable person but lack hikmah, lack wisdom. And you can be a wise person but you don't have much knowledge. And you can be a sharp person who can understand it very well but does not strive to learn. Okay? So always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you these things. That's why Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, when he would not understand something, when he would not figure out something or will be able to understand mas'ala or something, he used to ask Allah for forgiveness, istighfar, 1,000 times. And he asked Allah for istighfar, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قلت استغفروا ربكم إنه كان غفارا يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا. Because al-istighfar is one of the reasons for rizq, and istighfar is one of the reasons for Allah to open doors for you and to open the understanding for you. So he would ask for too much istighfar, and then he will make the dua, يا معلم آدم وإبراهيم علمني ويا مفهم سليمان فهمني. He would make the dua, oh the teacher of Ibrahim and Adam, teach me, Allah. And the one who made Sulaiman understand, make me understand. وَيَا مُفَهِّمَ سُلَيْمَانَ فَهِّمْنِي. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala أن يعلمنا وأن يفهمنا. That is the last point of الغصب. Tonight inshallah we'll talk about the shuf'a. This is a new part of this series of transactions, and shuf'a is a very important topic to show you how Islam came to protect the wealth of people, and how Islam came to protect the benefits of people in general, and cut the road in front of any harm when it comes to any Muslim in this world, to avoid any reason for grudge and for hate and for even dislike, and to close the door in front of any diseases of the heart, from backbiting and slandering and grudges and hate and all these things. Islam comes to prevent all these things. And Bab al-Shuf'a, one of those things. Bab al-Shuf'a, one of those things that once you understand it, you will appreciate this religion even more than what you do. With the definition, في اللغة مأخوذة من الشفع. You know, shaf'a is the opposite of witr. Shaf'a يعني even. Shaf'a يعني even. الوتر يعني فرد, odd. صلاة الوتر, odd. So that is one of the things that the ulama said, the meaning of shuf'a comes from the word shafa'a or shafa', and that is to make something even. Why? Because usually even is more than one, يعني 2 or 4 or 6. Usually they use this, they said, because shafi' in this transaction, shuf'a, the person who has the right to apply this right, who goes and applies this right, he's combining someone's property to his. So in the beginning his property was odd, but because he chose to combine it, because of a right that the Sharia had given him, it becomes even. So they said this is one of the reason shuf'a is called shuf'a. وقيل إن الشفعة مشتقة من الزيادة. Shuf'a also means to increase, and obviously when he adds another property to his, he's increasing his property. وقيل إنها مأخوذة من الشفاعة. You know, the shafa'a is the intercession, and that is because الشفيع يشفع عند شريكه أو عند جاره ليضم إليه ملكه. Because الشفيع will have to intercede to that. You won't understand the definition much if you don't understand the concept of shuf'a, as we will explain. But they said it comes from shafa'a because he intercedes and he talks to the owner of the other property so he can add it to his. And we will explain what that means. ومعناها, this is in the language ومعناها في اصطلاح الفقهاء استحقاق الشريك انتزاع حصة شريكه ممن انتقلت إليه بعوض مالي بثمنه الذي استقر عليه العقد. So the definition is استحقاق الشريك. The partner becomes entitled to take. انتزاع يعني to snatch the share of his partner. When we say partner, that means he has partner. The partner becomes, one partner becomes entitled to snatch the share of his other partner or partners from whom he had sold it to, with the amount that was agreed upon. What? Alright? That is the definition. And we will explain. Just to give you an example what that means. I have building, apartment building, and Brother Afif is my partner. I have 50%, he has 50%. I go, I want to get out of this partnership. Yani I have other things to do, so I want to sell. So I go and I sell it to Brother Jamal. Afif comes, he's the partner. He has issues with Jamal, being partner with him. So the Sharia gives him the right to snatch that property, that Jamal bought, the other half, to take it by force from him and pay him what the contract between Jamal and me finished with. So if I sold my share for $100,000 to Jamal, then Afif goes, has the right, if he goes to a judge, he has the right to take that half from Jamal for the $100,000. Because this way, the Sharia preserves the right and the benefits of the partner. Because if he has problem with Jamal, then he will be the one harmed. So the Sharia protects. This is just an example to give you the impression or the idea what we are talking about shufa. So when we talk about shufa, it's to give the right to the partner to snatch the property after it's being sold by his partner to a third party with the amount that was sold for. So he doesn't have to tell Jamal, listen, you paid 100,000, I'll give you 110. He doesn't have to. If he takes him to the judge, Islamically, the judge will rule in his favor to get that piece of property for the same price that he paid for. Alright? So that is the idea of shufa. Now this has rules and has ahkam that it's not like, okay, that's it, what else are we going to talk about? Alright? There are ahkam, there are rules, there are proofs that you need to prove, there are things that you have to respect for you to be entitled. It doesn't just like that. Okay? And we will talk about that inshallah. قال ابن القيم رحمه الله من محاسن الشريعة وعدلها وقيامها بمصالح العباد إتيانها بالشفع فإن حكمة الشارع اقتضت رفع الضرر عن المكلفين في الغالب ولما كانت الشركة منشأ الضرر في الغالب رفع هذا الضرر بالقسمة تارة وبالشفعة تارة فإذا أراد بيع نصيبه كان شريكه أحق بنصيبه من الأجنبي وبذلك يزول ضرر الشركة ولا يتضرر البائع لأنه يصل إلى حقه من الثمن. So he's telling you the hikmah is to prevent any harm to the partner. The hikmah of shuf'a to prevent any harm to the partner, any harm to the new owner, and any harm to the seller. Because in this fashion, the Sharia did not say, since you're a partner, you cannot get out. He has the right to sell. But now, he sells, he doesn't care who he sells for because at the end he's going to get his money. So the shuf'a comes to protect the partner because the first partner can't sell to anyone that the second partner might not like, might not trust. Maybe there's problems between them, might give him a hard time. So shuf'a came to protect his rights. And the last one is the person who was sold this share. He's also protected by giving him the right to be compensated for what he paid for. But mainly the partner who gonna stay is the one that the shuf'a protects. This shuf'a existed at the time of the Jahiliyyah, before Islam, and Islam came to affirm it, but with putting more regulation into it. يقول جابر بن عبد الله قال قضى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالشفعة في كل مال مقسم فإذا وقعت الحدود وصرفت الطرق فلا شفعة. And we'll talk about the meaning of this hadith. قال ابن المنذر أجمع أهل العلم على إثبات الشفعة للشريك الذي لم يقاسم فيما بيع من أرض أو دار أو حائط ففي الأرض والدار والحائط الشفعة محل إجماع بين أهل العلم. In these things, Ibn Mundhir rahimahullah, one of the fuqaha, said there is a consensus of the ulama that the partner who gonna stay has the right to practice the shuf'ah. Has the right in those three things. Al-ard, which is a piece of land, al-dar, which is a house, and al-ha'it, يعني a farm or bustan. Okay? Then we will see different opinion of the ulama about the other stuff, a car, animals, these things we will talk about inshallah. So from this we understand shuf'ah is something that is established by the Sharia. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet ﷺ allowed this to be practiced. Okay? Which means you cannot try to go around. You cannot trick the law of Allah. You cannot do some tricks, because as I will tell you, some people can do some tricks to prevent this from going through. One of those tricks is al-hiba. شو يعني؟ يعني you want to sell. So Afif or I want to sell to Jamal. But I know Afif doesn't like Jamal and he gonna use shuf'ah. So I tell Afif or I tell Jamal, here is give me the 100,000. I write it for you, but we're gonna say I granted it to you. Yani I gave it to you as a gift. So if it's a gift, then how he gonna buy it from him? And as you will see, there is no shuf'ah in a gift. A hiba, yani I gave it to him without any return, without any compensation. So if we say, no, you know what, I just want to leave, I don't want to deal with it, so I gave it to him as a gift, then he cannot practice shuf'ah. That's a trick that people might use. Okay? Another thing that they can use, we know the value, I'm selling it to him for 100,000. So we're going to say, I sold it to you for 500,000. There is no way Afif can afford, or it's worth to pay 500,000 for it. So this way he cannot practice shuf'ah. So these are tricks that people might use to trick the judge, or to use it to go around the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And obviously that is haram, and that is forbidden. But if someone did that, does that absolutely gives Afif no right to use a shuf'ah? No. He still can use it if he can prove it. If he can prove that he sold him, he gave him money. When he said it's gift, no, he did give him money. Alright? If he can prove that he gave him only 100,000, yes, they're saying 500, but he only gave him 100,000. How can you prove that? Well, let him prove that he gave him 500,000. Okay? So stuff like that. If he can prove, the partner who's being harmed, if he can prove that this was a trick, then he will definitely get through with the shuf'ah and get it back. Wassalam. قال شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية: وما وجد من التصرفات لأجل الاحتيال في الشفعة وعلى الشفعة فهو باطل ولا تتغير حقائق العقود بتغير عباراته. So wherever these tricks are found, then they are haram and they're false. يعني the deal is false. Okay? ولا تتغير حقائق العقود بتغير عباراته. The fact that the contract has taken place cannot be changed by any expressions. Yani he gave it to him he sold it to him for 100,000. He's gonna say it's a gift. It's a gift. That expression does not change the fact that it was sold. So don't look at what they're saying. We want to see the reality and what really took place. قال المؤلف رحمه الله في تعريف الشفعة: وهي استحقاق الإنسان انتزاع حصة الشريك من يد مشتريها. We already talked about that definition. قال ولا تجب إلا بشروط 7. He said, Ibn Qudama رحمه الله, this shuf'ah لا تجب إلا بشروط 7. لا تجب يعني it doesn't mean it becomes mandatory if 7 conditions are available. No. تجب here معناها تثبت. يعني لا تثبت الشفعة إلا ب7 الشروط. يعني الشفعة, Afif cannot practice الشفعة and cannot take advantage of this right that Sharia gave him unless 7 things exist. And we will see what the ulama agreed on, and where يعني Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, that we're using his book, is Hanbali. So he's giving you, and this book is based on Madhab al-Hanabila, but we usually, when it's against the dalil or does not agree with the dalil, we mention that, and we mention what's the right opinion. Okay? So here we will see some of his conditions, those 7 that have to exist for Afif to have the right, for the partner to have the right to practice a shuf'ah. We will see that they're not all of them the way he said. Okay? Because sometimes he will tell you only in those things he can use shuf'ah, and other stuff he can. Then we will prove that in the Sharia, no, in everything, as we will see. قال المؤلف ولا تجب إلا بشروط 7. The 7 things that have to exist for him to have the right to use a shuf'ah. أحدها البيع فلا تجب في موهوب ولا موقوف ولا عوض خلع ولا صداق. Okay. First, which we have talking about, it has to be something sold. So the partner who's bailing out or who's getting out of the partnership has to have this thing sold. So the other partner who want to practice shuf'ah can buy back. But if it was given as a gift, if it was given as a waqf يعني for so and so, for Allah, for a masjid, my half, يعني I have a half in a building and produce this amount of money, this half is waqf for the Muslim community. He cannot come and buy it. Okay? Or he divorced, the partner who was getting out divorced, and that was muakhar, for example. يعني if I divorce you, or khulu' or whatever, you get that. Okay? Then he cannot use that. So it has to be something bought and sold. So the first partner who's getting out sold his share, so that gives the right to the second partner who wants to own the whole thing to buy it back from the third party. But if it was given as a gift, it was waqf, it was iwad khulu' or sadaq, that does not, he cannot use that right. ثانيا وأن يكون عقارا أو ما يتصل به من البناء والغرس. يكون عقار. Here Ibn Qudama rahimahullah saying that this thing has to be عقار. عقار يعني property, يعني a building, a house, land. Okay? And we will see that this is not accurate. It can be anything. It can be anything where people can partner with. Okay? Perhaps other things more harmful if you get a partner with than someone you don't deal with, you don't like. Okay? So Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, and according to the Hanabila, they said it's only properties. But the right thing, only يعني land, house, dar, أو ما يتصل به من البناء أو ما يتصل به من البناء والغرس. He tells you these are called عقارات. So عقارات يعني ثابتة, يعني doesn't move. This piece of land doesn't move. This house doesn't move. So he tells you, but it happens, يعني he tells you only in these things. But the right thing, it happens in manqulat, in the things that move as well. يعني for example, someone owns a cab, and when he bought the cab, he got a partner with him, 50-50. You drive 12 hours, I drive 12 hours, whatever the deal. He paid 50% and the other paid 50%. The other one wants to get out. So according to Ibn Qudama, when he said only al-aqar, you do not have the right to use a shuf'ah. He can sell it, the other partner can sell it to whomever, and you cannot buy it back. But the right opinion that it does happen, it can take place in anything that they are partners with. Okay, wherever people are partners of, then you have the right to use the shuf'ah if you are being harmed. Third, أن يكون شخصا مشاعا فأما المقسوم المحدود فلا شفعة فيه لقول جابر قضى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالشفعة في كل ما لم يقسم فإذا وقعت الحدود وصرفت الطرق فلا شفعة. Here he's telling you شخصا مشاعا, يعني it has to be the property that you want to use your right of shuf'a has to be something that is agreed on, being divided and agreed on. يعني, two people own a piece of land. Someone has third, the other has 2/3. That is شخصا مشاعا. يعني divided, a well-known division. Someone has a quarter, the other has 3/4. Someone has half, the other half. Okay? So that's what he's saying. He's saying that is the only way. It has to be divided in parts between the partners, so you can know what to buy and he knows what to sell. So one of the conditions for Afif to practice the shuf'a, his right of shuf'a, is this. يعني, it has to be شخصا مشاعا. It has to be divided between the partners, so he knows what to. His partner will sell X part, and he can buy it back. And according to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then they said, according to the hadith, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فإذا وقعت الحدود وصرفت الطرق فلا شفع. إذا وقعت الحدود, يعني الحدود, the borders become clear. يعني we already divided. Okay? Because if you think about شخص مشاهد, he has 1/3, I have 2/3 in a piece of land. But we don't know. يعني we cannot say this third is yours and these 2/3 are mine. Just 1/3 of the land is yours and 2/3 are mine. So we don't know specifically which third and which. However, if the land becomes like that, يعني we have, let's say, 1 acre. 1/3 is yours, 2/3 are mine. The third northeast is yours. The 2/3, the other side, are mine. In this case, since the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْحُدُودِ, يعني those partners now know exactly where each piece, who each piece belonged to. So then there is no shuf'a in this. Because we can consider that completely separate piece of land. Separate property. Okay? That is why the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْحُدُودِ وَصُرِفَتُ الطُّرُقْ فَلَا شُفْعَ. Fourth, وأن يكون مما ينقسم فأما ما لا ينقسم فلا شفعة فيه. يعني now they tell you it has to be something that's dividable. But what cannot be divided, then there is no shuf'a. And actually the right thing is anything there is shuf'a, whether it's dividable or not. يعني a car, you cannot divide a car. Okay? If you have a small shop, if you divide it, يعني you have 400 square feet. You divide it 200. What you gonna do in 200? Okay? So so they're saying, no. If you divide it, it loses its importance. Then there is no shuf'a. Then the ulama answered back. The other opinion said, on the contrary, there might be more harm with things that cannot be divided. If you're gonna bring a partner he doesn't like. Okay? So in general, whether they're dividable or not, according to the adillah, you can use the right of shuf'a. What's about shuf'at al-jiwar? Some of the ulama mentioned, yani now we talked about your partner in a piece of land, in a store, in a building, in a farm. What's about neighbors? Is this right is applicable to neighbors? Okay? يعني if I live in an apartment 2A, okay, يعني the second floor, apartment A. My neighbor lives in 2B. I own the apartment, he owns his apartment. He goes and he sells it. Islamically, do I have the right to take him to the judge and force the new owner to sell me his apartment? What do you guys think? طيب ما له. Any other opinions? يلا واحد يحكي. Actually, the ulama said, yes, he has the right with conditions. With conditions. These conditions have to be, they share. They are common parts of these properties that are shared. Then he will have the right, he will be entitled to use a shuf'a. For example, someone has a house here, they're not even connected. He has a house, the other has a house, his neighbor, separate, but they use the same well. There's a well, both houses use this well, then he has the right to use a shuf'a. If there is something common between both houses, even if it's a road, okay, if it's a wall, in this our example, they share walls. If he's living next door, they share wall. There's a wall that if I knock on, he hears. So according to this, he has, the neighbor of 2A has the right to use shuf'a to own the next apartment. Okay? He has that right. قال بعض أهل العلم إذا كان بين الجارين اشتراك في حق من الحقوق فإنها تثبت شفعة الجار لجاره وإذا لم يكن هناك اشتراك فلا شفعة. So the condition is they have to share some of the property. They use in usage, or the way it's constructed, they share part of it, belongs to both, as the examples I had given. طب الشفعة in everything or in that part that they share? In everything. What, are you going to buy the wall? In everything. He has the right to buy the apartment, not just the wall that is common between both of them, or not only the well. Okay, imagine he has the right to buy the well, and the other neighbor, you're going to sell him the water. Okay, so that is correct. قل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الجار أحق بسقبه, and in one riwayat بسقبه بالسين Okay, so what that means, both of the words mean the neighbor is more worthy or more entitled for what's close to him. Okay, the closer to him, because السقب أو السقب is something close by, something near. So the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith established this fact, and that is the dalil. ثم قال صلى الله عليه وسلم جار الدار أحق بالدار. جار الدار أحق بالدار. The neighbor of the house is more entitled to the house. Okay? وفي رواية ينتظر بها إن كان غائبا. شو if I live in 2B and I want to sell, and 2A is traveling or in prison or somewhere, he's locked or he cannot be here, then I either wait for him, or he has the right when he comes back to use a shuf'a. If he was absent when this transaction took place, when I sold 2B, when he comes back, whatever time he comes back after, a year, 2 years, 10 years, we will talk about that, then he has the right to get back, to use that right of shuf'a, to get back or to get that apartment.
Even if you're in jail?
شو
if he's in jail, that's because he committed some crime, he's a bad
guy. كم من مظلوم في الجيل? How many oppressed people are in jail?
If his brother wants to buy it, or his uncle.
The partner or الجار, the partner or the neighbor, are the ones most entitled than the father and the mother and the brother. There is no difference. A third party, a third party, huh?
The brother in the earth, إذا كان working.
الإرث هذه different story. الإرث, when you talk about the earth, that is different story, because now in the earth, let's say the two brothers share a house, so they're partners, and they are closer in partnership than the neighbor with his partner, with his neighbor. So if one of the partners in the house, one of the brothers wants to sell the other half to his brother, here we say they're both owners, so the neighbor is not affected at all, whoever ends up owning that next apartment. But we say when you bring completely new person into the picture. Okay? That's what we're talking about. الشرط الخامس أن يأخذ الشخص كله فإن طلب بعضه سقطت شفعته ولو كان له شفيعان فالشفعة بينهما على قدر سهامهما فإن ترك أحدهما شفعته لم يكن للآخر إلا أخذ الكل أو الترك. Now, if Afif comes and says, Jamal, you bought it for $100,000, I want to use shuf'ah, but I don't have $100,000. That's it. He loses his right. If he cannot provide the money right there, he loses the right. If Jamal paid cash, well, let's use this term, cash. If Jamal paid cash, then he has to pay cash back to Jamal. And Jamal doesn't pay $100,000 and then you come tell him, I'll pay you over the next 5 years. It's harmful to him. Here we want to make sure no one is harmed. If Jamal bought it installments, then he has the right to buy it back installments.
You can still pay it cash.
Yeah, of course. Always we're talking about the harm. Okay? We're talking about the harm. Got it? So that's where he said أن يأخذ الشرط الخامس أن يأخذ الشخص كله فإن طلب بعضه سقطت شفعة. So if he says, okay, you bought half for 100,000, I only have 50,000, sell me quarter. It doesn't work like that. Then he loses the right for shuf'ah. Because perhaps if he gets 3/4 and he's left with 1/4, maybe 1/4 is not worth it. 1/4 is not worth it for his investment. Okay? So we say to the person who wanna use the right of shuf'ah, either you buy it all or you leave it all. Or another scenario, there are 3 partners in a property. One of them sells to a 4th guy. So the other 2 who are left have the right to use a shuf'ah, right? Now those 2 can use a shuf'ah based on their percentage. يعني what? يعني let's say it's divided 1, 2, 3. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. The last third sold to someone out of the partnership. The other 2, the first 2, have the right to use a shuf'ah for the last third. Each one will buy how much? Half of the third, يعني 6. طيب. One of them doesn't. يعني one of the 2, he doesn't mind getting a new partner. The other does. So the third one the one who minds getting a new partner either buys the whole third or leaves the whole third. He cannot say, I'll buy a 6th. Okay? Understand this point? Okay. But if they both want to go, then they both go based on their share in the partnership. قال ولو كان له شفيعان فالشفعة بينهما على قدر سهامهما فإن ترك أحدهما شفعته ولم يكن للآخر إلا أخذ الكل أو الترك. So if one of the 2 partners left after the third has sold, if one of them doesn't want to deal with it, and he's okay with whoever the new partner is, then the other person either buys the whole thing to use the shuf'ah or leaves everything. And he doesn't bother with the new partner. If they all want to buy, the partners that are left, they all want to buy, they all want to use the shuf'ah. So how is that divided? Give you an example and you can think about the numbers. Let's say 3 people, partners. One has the half, one has the third, and one has the 6th. That adds up to 1. 1. 1/3, 1/2, 1/3, and 1/6. Right? Adds to 1?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to say the one who owned the half sold. The other two wants to use a shufa. So what each one gonna buy?
1/3, 1/6.
La.
They're both going to buy the half.
Okay.
So one or the other half is split between the two of them. So one has 1/3, the other one has 1/6.
Of the whole land?
No, the half that they own.
So you get 1/6 and 1/3. That's how many sixths? That's 3/6. So there were the other 3/6.
That's what they're going to buy from the other one.
All right. Again, the half guy sold. The third and the sixth stayed. The third and the sixth want to buy the half from the new owner because they want to use the right of shufa. How they divide? Based on their percentage. That's the first thing. So one has a third and one has a sixth. What is the 1/3 to the 1/6?
The double.
Is it? Okay. So that means the third has half or has twice of the sixth. So that means when they buy the half, they're gonna get 2 to 1 ratio. That means 2/3 to 1/3.
That's what I said.
That's what he says? I remember there's a 6 in there.
No, because one owns 1/6 and one owns 1/3.
No, we're talking about the piece that needs to be bought. So that means since they're 2 to 1 in what they own, they're gonna buy 2 to 1 in what's left. 2 to 1 of the third of the half. Okay, we divide over 3 because it's 2 to 1. That's 3 parts. Right? Got it. Now what about if the third sells? The one who owns the third. You have the sixth and you have the half. What's the ratio? No. يعني the one who owns the half, how many times he owns more than the one who owns the sixth?
3 times.
3 times. So how many things? So the ratio will be 3 to 1. So how many parts we're going to divide the third that was sold? 4 parts. The one with the half gets 3 and the one with the sixth get 1. But if the sixth sold, they get a calculator. No, if the sixth sold, then you have one with half and one with third. So the ratio is what? We divide 2 to 3. So we have 5 shares. So we divide the 6 into 5. One gets 3 and one gets 2.
So the difference is in this example, it goes by ratio, not by, he said, قدر سهامهما.
Yeah, يعني based on what they own. That's the ratio. Because we said one person has a third, one person has a sixth. That means 2 share to 1 share. So when they buy the new piece, 2 share to 1 share. They divide into 3 parts, one get 2 and one get 1. Alright? That is what it means. إن كان قادرا على أداء الثمن فإن عجز عنه أو عن بعضه سقطت شفعته. Another thing that will make you lose the right to be entitled to shuf'a is if you cannot pay. If you say, you know what, I can't pay. Or I can't pay half of it, or 1/3 of it, right away automatically you lose the right for shuf'a. قال وإذا كان الثمن مثليا فعليه مثله وإن لم يكن مثليا فعليه قيمته. يعني it's يعني let's say he sold for 100,000. Then you pay him 100,000. Let's say he sold for 1,000 pounds of dates. Either you can pay him 1,000 pounds of the same dates, or we see how much 1,000 pounds of dates, and that's what you pay him. So that's what this means. يعني when there's weights included and all that. وإن اختلف في قدره ولا بينة لهما فالقول قول المشتري مع يمينه. طيب. There's
a remark here.
Yeah.
Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, he's speaking about the weight here. And in one of the conditions he said, it has to be aqar. So isn't that
Here he's talking about things, يعني I just gave you that example based on the right opinion. Okay? Based on the right opinion. But here when he talks about مثليا, يعني if we're going to take another example, he's telling you if he sold for X amount of money, you just pay back the X amount of money. But if he does not use money, he used another thing, he wanted to buy a house. So now, remember that here we're not talking about what's being sold. He's not talking about what's being sold. He's talking about how it was paid for. Okay? He's talking about, so in other words, he's saying if you paid for the house 100,000, or you paid for the aqar, the house, 1,000 pounds of dates. So we're talking about not what's being sold, we're talking about how it was paid for. Because he said وَإِذَا كَانَ الثَّمَنِ, يعني وَإِذَا كَانَ, if the price is وَإِنْ اخْتَلَفَ فِي قَدْرِهِ وَلَا بَيِّنَ. Now there is a dispute. Afif comes and he said Jamal needs to sell it to me. He said 100,000, Jamal says 120,000. They start disputing, they start arguing, they take it to the judge, whatever. The judge, the one, يعني the general rule, the one who's gharim in this, يعني the one who might be harmed from this whole thing is the new buyer. If there is, يعني هو الغارم. Okay? فيقول ابن قدامة وإن اختلف في قدره ولا بينة لهما فالقول قول المشتري مع يمينه. So to protect the buyer from being harmed, because he's the one in يعني الغارم, he's the one he might be harmed. To protect, because he's the one who put the money. To protect him, his word is the final word. In other words, they have a dispute. He says 100,000, he says 120,000. Then the judge gonna take, if they cannot show a proof, then the judge gonna take his word, but he has to swear. The buyer's word, and he swears. Because he's the one who needs to be, he might be harmed. He swears on whatever, that he's telling the truth. Okay? The seventh condition, المطالبة بها على الفور ساعة يعلم أو يعلم فإن أخرها بطلت شفعته. Here is another opinion that Hanabila or Ibn Qudama is not correct, because they said that shuf'ah has to take place immediately. يعني once I find out that my partner sold, I have to ask for a shuf'ah. But if I let it be delayed for a few days, then I'm not entitled for that. And that is not. Or in other words, they say, if you don't do it right away, once you find out, then that means you are not entitled for this right. Then he said, وَيُسْتَثْنَى مِنْ ذَلِكَ إِذَا كَانَ عَاجِزًا عَنْهَا لِغَيْبَةٍ. An exception of that, if he was absent, as we give the example, if he was traveling, if he was in jail, if he was sick, all this, that is their exception. قال الوزير بن هبير اتفقوا على أنه إذا كان الشفيع غائبا فله إذا قدم المطالبة بالشفعة. They all agreed that if the shafi', يعني the partner who is entitled for a shuf'ah, if he was absent, then he has the right to use it when he returns. كما في حديث جابر الجار حق بشفعته ينتظر بها إن كان غائبا إذا كان طريقهما واحد. Okay, the hadith that we said that the neighbor more entitled for shuf'ah if he was absent when he comes back. قال ابن قدامة أو حبس, يعني he was in prison, محبوس يعني not everyone in prison is a criminal. Okay, أو مرض, or a disease. Okay, he was sick, he could not come and find out. أو صغر, يعني he was young. In other words, when someone is young, did not reach the age of puberty and the age of responsibility, he has a wali who's taking care of his affairs. So when he was young and he has a piece of land partner with so and so, then the partner went and sold. The wali did not use shuf'a because he knows well that the new partner is harmful to this kid's wealth. But the wali did not use shuf'a. This young man or this kid is entitled to use shuf'a when he gets adult, because the tafriq and the negligence was on the part of his wali that he's not responsible about.
What's the price of it?
Good point. He's saying the price. If the kid is 5 years old, when he gets puberty 15, in 10 years the price is different. We say the kid who becomes adult is mandated to compensate the partner or the new buyer accordingly. Okay? So if the new partner bought it 10 years ago for $10,000 and today it's worth $50,000, or he bought it for $10,000 and he did a lot of stuff to it and now it's worth $50,000, then if this person wants to use a shuf'a, then he has to compensate him accordingly. Remember, the point of shuf'a is no one gets harmed. No one gets harmed. يقول رحمه الله: يلزم ولي الصبي الأخذ بالشفعة إذا كان للصبي حظ فيها، لأن ولي الصبي مأمور بالتي أحسن ولا تقربوا مال اليتيم إلا بالتي أحسن. Okay, the wali, the one who's guardian of this kid until he grows up, he is the one. If he thinks it's better for the kid that he uses shuf'a, then he becomes obligated to use it. But this is not agreed upon by the ulama. Let's see what their opinion. من العلماء من قال بهذا الشرط وهم الجمهور. The majority of the ulama, الجمهور, they said yes, this is what it goes. When the sabi, young man, a kid, when he grows up, he has the right to ask for الشفعة. ومذهب المالكية قول الشافعي في القديم ورواية عن أحمد أن الشفعة على التراخي. So, if we look at the sabi, if we look at marid, we look at al-ghaib, we can see all these things are the exceptions. Remember? Because the sabi, there are years. The marid, maybe it's going to take him years to be cured. The one who's traveling might take him years to come back. Mahbus might be in prison for a while. Those four things were the exceptions. For what? The exception that the shuf'a has to be done right away. Has to be done right away. So the opinion of al-Jumhur, they said it has to be done right away, except in those four things. But the opinion of the other, like in Malikiyya, they said no. You give him time. But there should be no evidence that he agreed with the transaction. The partner doesn't have to do it right away, but he should not show any proof that he accepted the deal. Yani your partner sold his share in the company, and you started working with the new partners and doing everything fine, and you guys working together and going out together and best buddies, and then 10 years you have problem with the partner, you go say, I want to use a shuf'a. It doesn't work like that. Okay? So without using all these exceptions for everything, ala tarahi. Doesn't have to be done right away, but there should no be proof that there was acceptance by the one who was entitled to use a shuf'a. Okay?
هذا اللي عنده الشفعة إذا توفى ممكن الورث بتاعه become
No, because they own it. Okay? Because they own it and they might be harmed too. Now, this is the opinion of al-Maliki. If you look when it comes to transaction, usually al-Malikiyya have أنفس madhab. When it comes to transactions, al-Malikiyya, they got the best opinions most of the time. or a lot of the time. And Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said that, and he said, even though Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah comes from what madhab? Hanbali. Yet it's out of justice and without being, because this is the deen of Allah. And madhab al-Maliki, you find with transactions, it's very well, because Imam Malik took his ilm in those things from Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. From Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, and Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib was most knowledgeable in transactions and in mu'amalat. Okay? So in general, if it's not right away, it doesn't have to be done immediately. You can have more time, as long as you do not show that you accepted the deal done by your partner, and at the same time there is no harm on the buyer. There is no harm on the buyer. Someone bought that piece of land and he built a tower in it. You come and you tell him, I want the piece of land back. He tells you, okay, you want it, you buy the tower. You said, I don't want to buy take your tower. That is not accepted. Okay? So as long as there is no proof that the one who has the right for shuf'a accepted, and there is no harm after years, for example, on the new buyer. He said, إلا أنه إن أمكنه الإشهاد على الطلب بها فلم يشهد بطلت شفعته. Here he's saying, based on the opinion that it has to be done immediately. Then he comes a year later, he said, I did, but no one listened to him. So we tell him, get witnesses. If he cannot provide witnesses that he did right away, asked for it, then he has no shuf'a. But we said, على التراخي الأرجح. فإن لم يعلم حتى تبايع ثلاثة فأكثر فله مطالبة من شاء منهم. طيب, someone, a partner sold. He didn't know yet. His partner doesn't know yet. The new owner sold to another one. The partner doesn't know yet. The second new owner sold to a third one. The buyer doesn't know yet. So here he's saying he has the right to use a shuf'a against any one of them. Against any one of them. But with which price?
The last price.
The highest or the last?
Should be the last, right?
The last?
Yeah.
The last price.
If you remember in the definition we said,
In a way, no one gets harmed.
in the definition we said على الثمن الذي تقرر العقد عليه. Which عقد?
So whoever he's going to practice the shuf'a against. If it's the third one, then
Okay.
third place.
He has the right to take the piece of land from anyone. But who was the one who violated? The first one. So that is the price. That is the price. Now you're going to say, but the second and the third paid more. That's fine, because the judge who's going to rule for him to get back that piece of land will rule for the others to get their money back. Got it? But العقد الذي تقرر العقد عليه يعني أول contract, where the partner sold without giving him the option to buy. ومتى أخذه فيه غرس أو بناء فللمشتري وأعطاه الشفيع قيمته. طيب, he bought a piece of land, or his partner sold that share, okay? And then he did not know, he was absent. He did not know. When he came back, he found the new owner put trees, build in it, whatever. He said, Ibn Qudama, ومتى أخذه وفيه غرس أو بناء فللمشتري وأعطاه الشفيع قيمة. Usually الغرس يعني you get the tree and you plant it. الزرع from the seeds. So with الغرس you can uproot it and put it unroot it and put it somewhere else. But the point is, if you find that he put trees in it and it will be harmful too, as we will see, but you can keep it, but you need to compensate him for it. Okay? You need to compensate him for what he invested in this land in addition to the price of the land. قال إلا أن يختار المشتري قلعه من غير ضرر فيه. But the new buyer said, okay, you want to use shuf'a, that's fine, I'll give you the land, but I'm going to take my trees. This can be done with one condition. There is no harm on the land, on the ground. But if taking these trees, uprooting them and take them somewhere else, gonna harm the land and it becomes useless, then he cannot do that. He has to sell those trees. وإن كان فيه زرع, you see, now he talked about الغرس, now he's talking about the زرع. وإن كان فيه زرع أو ثمر باد فهو للمشتري يبقى للحصاد أو الجذب. If there is planted, he cannot unroot, he cannot take it out and plant it somewhere else, already got the fruits, it's ripening or ready to be sold, then everything belongs to the new owner. Until it's time to pick it up, then he can pick it up and take it. Alright? يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من باع نخلا قد أبر فثمرته للذي باعه إلا أن يشترطه مبتاع. Whoever sells palm trees قد أبر يعني the dates already started coming out, فثمرته للذي باع. The fruits, the dates belongs to the original owner, to the one who sold it, not to the new owner unless they agree. Okay? وإن اشترى شخصا وسيفا في عقد واحد فللشفيع أخذ الشخص بحصته. This last point, if the partner sold that piece of land that they're partner in, his share يعني, and sold a sword, he's just giving you an example, a sword, but they're not partners in the sword. So what he goes to, he says he has the right in shuf'a only in the piece of land, because some people might take advantage. Why? For example, someone told someone else, I have this piece of land, I need for it this X amount of money. If you buy it with this price, I'll sell you another piece of land somewhere else for half a price, like half what it's worth. So he says, okay. But the reason he gave him that half price, because he's going to sell him, because he want to get rid of this piece of land. So when the first partner comes want to use a shuf'a, then the Shara' tells him, you only have the right with the piece of land that you were partner in. You're not entitled for a shuf'a for the whole transaction. Okay? Or someone will say, I'll sell it, if you buy this land from me, I'm gonna put with it a car. So now the guy, when he comes for a shuf'a, he's gonna say, alright, I want the piece, I'm entitled for the share in my land that you sold and the car. No, we don't say that. Okay? So that's why he said, when اشترى شخص أو سيفا في عقد واحد, يعني he bought two things, the partner bought two things in one transaction, and the guy, the original buyer or the original partner wants to use a shuf'a, then he's only entitled for that which belonged to him, or he was partner in. If he was partner in the land, he's entitled for the land. If he was partner in the sword, he was entitled only for a sword. Alright? So that is what this statement means. So we stop here inshallah and we continue next time. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على محمد. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.